Deep beneath the Vatican City, behind reinforced concrete walls and locked steel doors, lies one of humanity's most guarded secrets. Imagine 54 miles of shelving stretching, endlessly through underground tunnels that's longer than the distance from New York to Philadelphia. What could possibly require that much space? What secrets are so important that they've been hidden away for over 1,200 years? The Vatican Secret Archives, officially renamed the Vatican Apostolic Archives in 2019, contain documents that have shaped the course of human history. We're talking about 35,000 volumes of catalogs alone. There's the original papal bull from 1521 that excommunicated Martin Luther, launching the Protestant Reformation and splitting Christianity forever. There's a desperate letter from Mary, Queen of Scots, written while she was awaiting execution. This wasn't just a king asking for a favor. This letter, signed by 85 members of the English clergy, including the Archbishop of Canterbury. The archives are stored in a 2-story, fireproof, reinforced concrete bunker with its own photographic and conservation studios. This is just a library, a fortress designed to protect secrets that could destabilize governments and religions. This was a desperate attempt to prevent England from breaking away from the Catholic Church. What modern correspondence is being added to those archives right now? What secrets will future generations discover about our time? The Vatican's archives prove that the most powerful force in history isn't armies or wealthy's information, and the Church has been collecting it for over 1,200 years. They be proof that the Catholic Church has been at the center of virtually every major political decision for over 1,000 years. Every war, every treaty, every royal marriage, every diplomatic crisis, there's likely a document in those archives that reveals the Vatican's role. The Pope's refusal to grant the divorce literally created the Church of England and changed the course of British history forever. These 54 miles of documents aren't just history. They evidence of the most successful intelligence operation in human history, one that's still running today. It's begging the Pope to intervene and save her life. Imagine reading the actual words of a queen facing death. The archives contain a handwritten transcript of Galileo's trial for heresy, but what most people do, is that the Vatican had secret evidence that could have saved him. In 1983, researchers discovered an anonymous denunciation labeled G3 that reveals the real reason for Galileo's condemnation was in his defense of the sun-centered, a solar system. It was his attack on the doctrine of the Eucharist. What could be so sensitive that it still can't be revealed after decades? The archives contain detailed reports from Vatican embassies around the globe, documentation from aristocratic families, and specific collections from religious orders. During World War II, the Vatican maintained diplomatic relations with both Allied and Axis powers. What secrets from that era remain buried? Written in her own hand, pleading for her life. The Pope never responded, and she was executed. This is unjust historical paperwork. This single document literally changed the faith of hundreds of millions of people and started wars that lasted centuries. Both the Union and Confederate leaders were secretly communicating with the Vatican, trying to gain the Church's support for their cause. Letters requesting protection for Franciscan missionaries in Tibet, proving that the Vatican's influence extended far beyond Europe, into the most remote corners of the world. What other secret diplomatic missions were conducted? What other world leaders were in covert communication with the Vatican? What promises were made? What deals were struck? Most of these documents have never been made public. In 1810, he ordered his soldiers to seize the entire collection. The archives began in the 2nd century AD, originally stored as the Holy Scrolls of the Church. Each pope was allowed to keep documents from his reign, creating an unbroken chain of the most sensitive correspondence, treaties, and confessions spanning nearly 2 millennia. The oldest loose parchment dates from 809 CE. But here's where it gets really interesting. The most controversial documents aren't ancient at all. and transported to Paris because he believed they contained secrets that could change the balance of power in Europe. It took 3,000 carts to move everything. Think about that, 3,000 carts of documents, so sensitive that an emperor would risk international outrage to possess them. Millions of documents spanning 12 centuries and some of the most explosive correspondence ever written. But here's the thing that will blow your mind. Until recently, only a handful of scholars were ever allowed inside, and even they could only see 3 documents per day. Napoleon Bonaparte was so obsessed with these archives that he literally stole them. But what exactly is hidden in those endless corridors? Let me tell you about some documents that will make your jaw drop. But that's nothing compared to what else is hidden there. Here's one that will surprise you. The archives contain letters from both Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis during the American Civil War. But perhaps the most intriguing document is King Henry VIII's petition for divorce from Catherine of Aragon. The archives also contain correspondence with the 7th Dalai Lama. Here's what's really unsettling. The Vatican only releases documents after 75 years, and some remain classified indefinitely. The physical security alone tells you everything you need to know about what's hidden inside. But here's the truth that will change how you see the Vatican forever. These aren't just historical documents. The Church has been the ultimate kingmaker, the power behind thrones, the secret negotiator in conflicts that shaped our world. The next time you look at world events, remember those 54 miles of secrets buried beneath Vatican City. But wait, there's more that will absolutely blow your mind. Think about this. Galileo wasn't just punished for saying the earth moved around the sun. He was condemned because his scientific theories threatened the very foundation of Catholic faith, the belief that bread and wine literally become the body and blood of Christ. This document remained hidden for over 350 years, and when it was finally discovered, it changed everything we thought we knew about one of history's most famous trials. Here's where things get really dark. The archives contained the Chinon Parchmente document that gave Spain gained control over newly discovered lands and effectively divided the world between Spain and Portugal. This single document literally carved up the entire planet between 2 European powers. There are still discoveries being made that reveal unknown. What discoveries is he making that can't be revealed? Remember, documents are only released after 75 years. It's how a small group of men in robes became the most powerful institution on earth. When the Vatican published documentation of the Knights Templar trials in 2007. Remember those 54 miles of secrets buried beneath his feet. The Knights Templar cover-up, Galileo's real crime, or something we haven't even discovered yet. Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to discover more hidden truths about the world's most powerful institutions, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. The truth is always more incredible than fiction, and the Vatican's archives prove that the most dangerous secrets are the ones hidden in plain sight. Remember that every word he speaks is backed by the darkest secrets of human history. The Vatican as archives aren't just a library. They read proof that the most dangerous weapon in human history isn't nuclear bombs or biological warfare as information. And the Catholic Church has been weaponizing it for over a millennium. They only made 800 copies. Why would they limit access to historical documents? What are they still hiding? They've toppled kings, started wars, ended empires, and shaped the faith of billions. All while maintaining the illusion that they're simply servants of God, which means everything from World War II onwards is still classified. What role did the Vatican play in the Cold War? What correspondence exists between the Pope and world leaders during the Cuban Missile Crisis? What secrets about modern terrorism, political assassinations, or international conflicts are sitting in those archives right now? Lesser known and behind the scenes details of the Holy See, its relations with the outside world over the past 12 centuries, For over 1,200 years, they've been collecting secrets, manipulating politics, and influencing world events from behind the scenes. Those 54 miles of documents are unjust history. They reprove that every major event in human civilization has been shaped by a religious organization that claims to serve God, but has consistently served power, condemning millions of indigenous people to slavery and death. Shows that Pope Clement V actually found the Knights Templar not guilty of heresy in 1308, but here, as the shocking part, due to an archival mistake. The Pope claimed that dividing the world would help spread Christianity, but the reality was far darker. This document sanctioned the brutal colonization that would destroy entire civilizations. The Vatican profited from this arrangement for centuries, yet this blood-soaked papal bull remains in their archives as if it were just another historical curiosity. This parchment was lost for centuries, while this document sat forgotten in the Vatican's archives. Thousands of Templar knights were tortured and burned at the stake for crimes the Pope himself had declared them innocent of. The size of a dining room table that holds the minutes of the trials against the Knights Templar. This isn't just any historical document, it's proof of one of the biggest cover-ups in medieval history. The archives contain letters from Michelangelo complaining that he had not been paid for his work on the Sistine Chapel, and warning the Pope that Vatican guards were threatening to quit because they had unreceived payment for 3 months. The Chinan parchment, discovered in 2001 by Italian paleographer Barbara Frau. If the Chinan parchment had been found earlier and not misplaced in the Vatican archives, it could have prevented 700 years of persecution. Think about the 10 entire religious order was destroyed, their members executed, and their reputation destroyed for centuries. Creator of the Sistine Chapel ceiling, having to write angry letters to the Pope demanding payment like a common contractor. But what's really shocking is that if the Vatican guards had actually quit, it would have left the Pope defenseless. These letters revealed that even the most sacred artistic projects were plagued by corruption and financial mismanagement, all because a single document proving their innocence was lost in the Vatican's maze of archives. For even Renaissance masters weren't immune to Vatican politics. Imagine the greatest artist in human history. The archives contain a papal bull from 1493 written by Pope Alexander VI. But here's what's truly disturbing. This wasn't just about exploration, it was about souls. According to Archbishop Sergio Pagano, the longtime prefect of the Vatican Apostolic Archive, who worked there for 45 years. What's he talking about? Here, as the truth that will change everything. The Vatican is just a religious institution, okay? It's the oldest surviving intelligence agency in the world. The Vatican's archives don't just contain history, they contain the blueprint. But perhaps the most terrifying truth is this. We've only seen a tiny fraction of what's in those archives. The next time you see the Pope giving a blessing or making a statement about world peace, what do you think is the most shocking secret hidden in the Vatican archives?